Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. Today's video was originally going to be directed towards homeschooling parents, just some advice for them about their children. But as I was thinking about it, this advice could go for all of us. We're living in a day and age when we need to question everything that's going on around us. And sometimes the most important question that we can be asking is, how? When we're growing up, going to school, a lot of times we are taught to ask all of those W questions. Who, what, when, where, why? And sometimes they would tell us to ask how. Unfortunately, at least with my own upbringing, how was never really a question that was addressed very often. We stuck to the who, to the what, to the when, to the where, to the why. But really, how was never something that crossed my mind, at least not that I can remember at this point anymore. But really, that's something that we, both as homeschooling parents and just as adults, need to start learning to do. We need to start asking how. So a lot of times people will ask me, since I'm telling you all the time that the most important thing that you can teach your children when you're homeschooling them is to know how to do their own research, to know how to ask questions, to know that it's okay to explore the topics or the ideas that we're taught as 100% truth, because a lot of times what we're taught is not the truth. And so a lot of times people will ask me, well, where can I start? What would be a good starting point with my kids for me to teach them how to look into things more? And really, I think not just with kids, but again, for everyone in general, the word, or not even the word, but the question, how, is really a good place to start. Because a lot of times in the narrative, we are given explanations for things that we have questions about, and the way that we are taught in school, a lot of times even the way that we're raised to not ask questions. A lot of us are taught not to question authority, and so a lot of times that's why the how question never even comes into being. And this is where they get you, because what I'm noticing is that a lot of the official narrative that we're told about not only history, but science as well, if you accept what they're telling you at face value, it seems to make sense. It seems that it's plausible. And so what most people will do is they will kind of set it aside and say, okay, well, that's settled. But what I'm realizing is that, what if you look a little further? What if you actually ask how? And I don't mean just a superficial how. I mean an actual, I want to know the answer how. So I'll give an example. I have been researching about towns that were supposedly raised up a level because of flooding. Or sometimes they say that they were raised 8 feet due to installing sewer pipes. And as I go down this rabbit trail, I thought to myself, okay, well, that seems to make sense. Yeah, it would be easier for them to, stop flooding if they were raised up higher. And so what most people, if they hear something like that, they'll think, okay, well, that's what they did. But then when you turn around and you start thinking to yourself, how did they do that? How would people in the 1800s be able to find enough dirt to fill entire towns in order to raise the level of their cities? And if you don't even know what I'm talking about, I'll link some videos that I'm referring to, but this is really just an example. But so they're telling us that they've raised the levels of cities, sometimes from 8 to even, I think one place even said 13 feet, that it raised the city up. And what they're telling you is that they then filled up all the streets and they created a new level of the city with the old city still underneath. And it sounds like a really neat story, but then again, that's when I started thinking, how? Where did they get all that dirt from? How did they take it and fill up entire cities? I think that Chicago is one of the areas where they claim that they did this for the sewer pipes, that they raised the whole city of Chicago by 8 feet in order to install sewer pipes but they never tell you where all of this dirt comes from. They don't tell you how any of it is transported. And in fact, that whole narrative, they claim that similar narratives happen like that all over the world, where cities are supposedly raised up and there are other cities underneath for one reason or another. Yet they never seem to answer the simple question of how are they doing this without having a place to get all of this dirt? And although that seems like a really dumb question, it's questions like that that are really going to help you get to the bottom of things. You have to ask simple questions like that, because what they are counting on is they're counting on us just accepting what our authority figures are telling us. And I'm noticing that the more that I start asking how, with all of the stories that were told from those who I like to call our handlers, their stories fall apart. When you actually dig a little bit deeper and don't just ask a superficial how, and then someone gives you a mundane answer that in theory sounds like it would work, but when you actually think about it, it seems completely implausible. Start asking how. Start digging a little, and I'm telling you, one day, I'm praying that the truth will come out for all of us. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one either here or over on Instagram. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.